Hello, you're very welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the League of Ireland podcast here on Finalwhistle.ie. I'm your host, Ciaran Callan. I hope that you will enjoy the programme here this evening. Here's what we have coming up. Firstly, we will be reviewing the results from the past couple of games. We've had fixtures both on Friday and on Monday, so we'll be having a look at that with our Finalwhistle.ie correspondent, Diarmuid Kearney. We will then have an exclusive interview with Cork City's Cian Coleman. He talks to me about life back on Leeside after making a little bit of a journey around two clubs in order to get first team football, and then we'll be back to Diarmuid where we'll be having a comprehensive preview of this weekend's fixtures, plus talking points in relation to Stephen Bradley staying at Shamrock Rovers after the offer from Lincoln City, and Bray Wanderers and the statement that they made last week in relation to relations between management and fans. Taking us in now is our discussion of the preview or the review of last week's fixtures with Diarmuid Kearney. Diarmuid, it's been a couple of weeks. Do you miss me?
It has, Ciaran. I have missed you. I haven't been on around the grounds as well as much as we normally
I know. I was previously occupied, as the man would say, but I did make an appearance.
We're back. We're back to usual. I don't think I've been on the podcast since your trip to Canada a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. So it's been too long. No, it's great to have you back. And we're just going to have a very, very quick look at, first of all, the results in both the Premier and the First Division. Big results in terms of the top of the table, because things have gotten that little bit thinner when it comes to, that kind of at the top. So Derry City were held by Bohemians in a 1-1 draw, while Drogheda United were comprehensively beaten by St. Patrick's Athletic 4-0. Shelbourne beat Sligo Rovers 2-1, while UCD held Dundalk to a draw. Some people would say that was the most surprising result of the evening. And Shamrock Rovers bet Finn Harps 3-1. Which game do you think has had the most, how would you say when it comes to the, those fighting for the table and stuff like that? Which game stood out for you as, that's a big result?
I suppose the fact that Derry couldn't take the 3 points the last night was definitely crucial. Mm-hmm. When you're the league leaders, you don't want to be slipping up at any stage, and they've had a couple of draws there. They've lost points. They dropped points to Shells. They've dropped points now to Bows as well. That's not what you want. And then, of course, Shamrock Rovers then taking a 3-1 win at home at Tallaght Stadium. We'll talk about the couple of games we had at the start of this week as well. But it's for me it's going to be stemming around those two games definitely. As we talk about the title charge for the league. It is becoming the two horse race. Mm-hmm. But if you talk about matters elsewhere, Dundalk letting a 2-0 lead slip by to bottom of the table UCD, I suppose that's not a good result for them. Valuable point for UCD, obviously, 5 points to their name this season. They're still 5 points behind Finn Harps, who are in 9th place. But, I suppose those results definitely were the ones that caught my eye the most. Obviously, we had to, we do turn our attention to those, to the two fixtures that concern the title challenge more than anything.
St. Pat's had a very big confidence boosting win, and then they held Derry City to a draw on Monday night. So that's 4 valuable points for Tim Clancy, because there was already, and I just, when you start reading social media, I know we can't really read into too much, but there was questions starting to be asked of his management and his style. And now those 2 big results seem to just kind of ease the pressure off a little bit, even though people have been saying from St. Pat's he's under no pressure at all.
Yeah, personally, I don't feel he is under much pressure. I suppose they're in 3rd place in the league. At the start of the year, if you said to St. Pat's, you'll be in 3rd, you'll be 2 points clear of Dundalk, and you'll be a couple of points behind the two front runners in the table, I think they take that. I think that they have a great manager at the helm. They're playing some good, attractive football at the moment. Obviously, the result on Friday night was definitely a big confidence boost for them. It's a result that they definitely want. If they can keep going the course that they get and they're back in European football again next season, I don't think they can expect much more of a manager. If they can put in a good cup run now on top of that, I don't think there should be a cause or concerns on social media to say that a manager deserves a boot out the door for doing very well with a team and seeing them to near enough the top half of the table, to be honest with you.
Damien Duff finally gets his win at home against Sligo Rovers. It's been a while coming, but they're another side that really kind of need to build on a wee bit of momentum now. I think the attention on Damien Duff has kind of waned a little bit. People have just let him get on with his job now. Is it a case that he now has to start producing results in the pitch and not the focus should be on him?
I suppose when Damien Duff came into the job in general, it was always going to be headlines in terms of Damien Duff. He's coming in; it's his first managerial post. Shells came up as the first division winners, and then Ian Morris left. Damien Duff comes in. It's very interesting to see, what's the story with Duffer, and I suppose he's come out with a couple of things, and he's gotten himself booked on the sideline a couple of times as well. So, there is a couple of that to it. He does have the passion for the job, but I think that it's always going to be, Duff is going to get the attention, and a lot might be taken off the players. But if the players aren't putting in the performance on the pitch, then you can't really say it's the manager's fault when he mightn't be getting the best out of his players. But look, where they are in the table now isn't where they want to be. They are a little bit ahead of Drogheda. I think they have enough in them to stay up the season. I don't think they will be worrying about a relegation battle, but like you said, they do need to start picking up the points, getting those results. They've waited all this time to get their first home win in the season. So hopefully what they've learned from last weekend, they can bring forward and get those points on the board, because they'll need them if they want to remain a Premier Division side next year.
Shamrock Rovers have been the team kind of chasing. They became the hunter became the hunted, so to speak, a little bit, and now they're back in the frame of the league title. We will talk about it in the third half, or the third part of the program, but they've had two big wins. They bet Finn Harps on Friday night, and then they bet Shamrock Rovers. They've scored 6, conceded 2. It was the perfect reaction to what could have been a very tumultuous week if Stephen Bradley had left, but he has decided to stay. But his side are just starting to really tick in. But more importantly, what I noticed on Monday night was that he made something like 3 or 4 changes at half time to completely freshen things up. He's spoiled for choice.
Yeah, the depth in that Shamrock Rovers team is scary. I suppose a game against Sligo, you don't really know what you're going to get when you're taking on a team like Sligo, but when you're chasing for the top of the table, to have strength and depth. Obviously, he started Amaku up top, younger guy, to kind of give him a run at the first team. He did play him a lot last year. He was a great player in Europe as well. Scored a very important goal to see them qualify for another round in Europe, and got a good few minutes under his belt at the tail end of last season when they were already pretty much assured of champions. But someone like Graham Burke to just score a hat-trick, and the way that he scored it, no sooner had he the ball in the net than he had the ball in the net for the second one, and just the way that they were carving Sligo open in attack, it is a joy to watch Shamrock Rovers play football, and the way that they're doing it at the moment is phenomenal. But the likes of Jack Byrne is there, and we mightn't say, Jack Byrne is stealing the headlines of Graham Burke the last night, but the way his work rate is in there, they've so much depth that it's scary just how strong they are at the moment, that they can make 3 subs at half time and it's still 0-0. They're not, they can play, I suppose, a couple of lads who might be inexperienced but can still get the results at the end of the day once they make, a couple of fresh faces coming into the team. But, as you mentioned, the hunter become the hunted. We were a couple of weeks ago, we were saying, it looks like Derry are comfortable now. So, Shamrock Rovers are struggling a little bit to find their feet. Now Shamrock Rovers are top of the table by a point, and we will chat about it later on with the game that's coming on Friday night at Tallaght Stadium, which is going to be probably the pick of the bunch this week. But Shamrock Rovers have definitely started to find their form and become the team that we know they are, to be honest with you.
Now, in relation to the first division, couple of results. Cork City had to come from behind against Athlone Town. I know Aaron Hoy, I'm going to give him a wee bit of a shout out. He produced a video there during the week of just that behind the goal camera, just the roar, the net, like that kind of content is what we need. It was just brilliant. But then Bray Wanderers 1, Waterford 4, Cove Ramblers 0, Galway United 4, and Longford Town 2, Wexford 1. I mean, when it comes to the first division, it's still so tight. You really just don't know. Like at the moment, Cork are ahead by 3 points, but there's still plenty of teams in that those playoffs positions. Nothing settled yet, but it looks as if it's steamrolling for Cork at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose it's definitely become a 2-horse race between Cork and Galway for top spot in the table. There is that, as you said, there's 3 points separating them. Obviously, Galway have that game in hand, so if they can win their game in hand, we will see them both tied at the top of the table. Interesting to see the fight for places. I'd say it will be probably Waterford, Longford, Treaty, and then obviously one of Galway or Cork who don't make it up. Now, Wexford could overthrow Treaty, but I think Treaty have 2 games in hand, if memory serves me right. But looking back at the fixtures from Friday, if I showed the footage of the Athlone Cork game to someone who didn't know the league, didn't know their position, you'd think Athlone were nearly fighting for the title more than Cork. They looked more in for it. I thought watching the game back, I obviously knew the result, but I thought that Athlone should have scored late on more than Cork. Now, Aaron Bulger, what a time to score your first goal for Cork out of nothing. As you said, the behind the goal shot that's what we want to see. That's just absolutely fantastic camera angle. Just the ping of the ball going into the net, the way that he kicks it as well, absolutely fantastic. And I suppose Cork have had maybe a couple of games this year where they've taken on a weaker team and struggled to kind of limp home a bit. They've, bottom of the table at Athlone. I was expecting a cricket score on Friday night, but how well Cork have performed lately. Now they're 5 games unbeaten. Of course, they did get the result that night, but I thought that they were going to do a little bit better. But the likes of John Caulfield's Galway, another comprehensive win. No, there's no slowing down there. But as you said, it's very hard to call the first division this year, to be honest.
It's great to see it, though. It really is.
Oh yeah. We need this in both leagues. To be honest, we need that good competitive, free flowing football. And if you look at, I suppose, the Premier Division, there's 3 teams that are potentially fighting for relegation. You've the 2 teams at the top of the table who are fighting for their title. You've 2 in the first division. And it'll be interesting to see what way the placement goes as well for the playoffs for promotion to go back up into Premier Division. Sorry, be interesting, but it's hard to call.
It is, absolutely. Listen, Diarmuid, we're going to leave it for now. We'll be back to you in just a little while, but we're going into our next segment, which we were talking to Cian Coleman of Cork City. He was talking to me about his time as under-19s captain, where he played against Roma, and then moving on to both Limerick and St. Patrick's Lad before moving back down to Cork City. So here's that discussion and chat with him earlier on. In unfamiliar surroundings, he was in a cafe, and I was in work. So here's that interview now. You're very welcome back to the programme, and our next guest is from Cork City, and speaking to us today is Cian Coleman, who will be joining us here. Cian, I know that you're out now at the moment, so we'll keep it nice and brief, but it's great to talk to you.
Yeah, great to have me on. Cheers. Thanks.
Cian, first of all, just the season in general, it's been the perfect start for Cork City, and we spoke to Kevin O'Connor and he spoke about the importance of momentum. It seems that even since we've been speaking to him, that momentum has just kept going, and Cork are currently sitting top of the pile.
Yeah, it's going very well at the moment. Like I said, it was a very good start to the season for us. So, like Kev said himself, momentum is huge in the league and look in any sport anyway, but it's only a start for us. There's still a long way to go in the season, but look, we couldn't have asked for a better start. Obviously, we're top of the league, and obviously Galway are right behind us too. So look, it'll be a long, tough season. But look, we're happy where we are at the moment.
Just speaking of Galway there, a former manager of yours, John Caulfield, he's already gotten one over you this season, defeated you in Turner's Cross. From your kind of formative years as a player, what did you learn from John that you still see in his sides today?
Well, all his teams are very hard-working. I think I was only under 19 when I was coming through when he was manager of City. But yeah, look, very good manager. Obviously, he's been around the game a long time now. So obviously, every team he has, when you're playing against him, it'll be a tough game. Like you could see with the Cork teams he's had through the years, like the leagues and the cups they won. So they were a very good side. And Galway are the same. They're a hard team to beat. And it was a tough game that we played them in Turner's Cross this year. But we probably didn't perform our best that day. But yeah, look, every team that John sets up will be a tough team to beat. Like, so, look, we're in for next time we play, it'll be a tough game.
In relation to Colin Healy, as a manager, he's a stalwart Corkonian, so to speak. But did you think that it needed somebody from Cork to kind of come in and steady the ship a little bit, but then to make this promotion push?
Maybe, yeah. I suppose, look, at the end of the day, it's down to the players on the pitch that do it. But obviously, if you've the right manager in place, it's definitely obviously a massive help. But like you said, Colin knows the club inside out. He played for the club. Obviously, he loves the club. So he wants to, same as we all do as players, wants to get the club back to where they belong, back in the Premier Division, and challenge for trophies up there. So definitely, he's a massive help to the club. And having him as a manager, it's brilliant. And we want to win for him, and we want to win for the fans. So look, having him is brilliant for us.
Speaking of the fans, the crowds at Turner's Cross have been absolutely unbelievable this season. Unheard of in First Division terms. You're talking about 5,000 people coming to Turner's Cross. Is it that and I've said this from my own experience of being in Turner's Cross, it's a real kind of, it's a very much a city united, and it really does bring the crowds in when this team is successful.
Yeah, the crowds are brilliant. Like you said, look, when the team is doing well, or even when the team's not doing well, like it has been for a few years, they've still turned out in their numbers. Obviously because of COVID, there was no crowds there. But since obviously the crowds are back in, the crowds have been unbelievable. I think we're in average in both leagues together. I think we're up third or something, or near the top, something like that. Anyway, but look, the crowd is unbelievable. And obviously if we're playing well and we're competing at the top, they'll turn out more. So look, the fans are a massive help to us. I think last season when they weren't in, it kind of affected. It would affect some players. Myself personally, I'd much rather play in front of a packed Turner's Cross. And when they're in, it gives you that boost. So since they've been in, they've been a massive help to us. So the 12th man, you could say. But it's brilliant to have them in. They're, in my opinion, they're the best fans in the country. I'm not just saying that because I'm at the club. But no, they're brilliant. Look, we love playing in front of them. I love playing in front of them. So long may it continue. Hopefully that we play well and they keep coming out in their numbers.
I just read in relation to you, you were part of the side that played in that very good under-19 European run in which, you ended up facing, you were knocked out by AS Roma. The experience of playing not only against a club like Roma, but, the whole European UEFA experience itself at such a young age must have been a massive benefit for you going forward.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable experience. I think that was my kind of first taste of a full Turner's Cross. Well, it wasn't full, but there was 2,000 or 3,000 Turner's Cross that night when we played Rome, and an experience that I'll never forget. As a young fella, I was captain of the 19s team at the time, and all the lads I even talked to still who played in that game too, just never forget it. The crowds, and it was unbelievable. And it gives you a taste for what first team football would be like in the country, So obviously the other side of it then is you're playing in Europe at under 19 level, which is rare for an Irish club to do that. So obviously I think it's only one team does it every year if they win the league or whatever. But that was an unbelievable experience, even going to Rome and playing over there. And we played Helsinki as well, which was another unbelievable experience. Going to cities like that, you probably wouldn't go to anyway unless we were playing there. So that was an unbelievable experience. Look, it will stay with me forever anyway, and great memories.
Did you play the Stadio Olimpico?
No, played in.
No.
What's it called? I actually can't remember the name, but it was their 19th team played. It was still a nice ground, but no, we didn't play there.
Okay. Just in relation, it was around that time that you made the decision that because of what can only be described as a stacked midfield that contained the likes of Greg Bulger and Conor McCormick and Stephen Beattie, just to name three, that you decided to move on. You said it yourself, you had a very honest and open conversation with John Caulfield. Do you think that going away for those couple of years has benefited you even further from that instead of just being on the fringes of Cork, that you went and played a regular first team football?
At that age, I knew I kind of had to go away. Like you said, it was a stacked midfield. Not just a stacked midfield, but the whole squad. Look, they were competing for leagues every season when that team was there. So for me, it just had to be realistic. And look, I wasn't going to play, and I wasn't ready to play anyway because I was only a young fella. I hadn't had any experience playing first team football really. So for me, I just had to go away. I went to Cove and got a great year under my belt that year, and then I got to move to the Premier Division with Limerick. So look, it's something I had to do. At the time, I obviously didn't want to leave Cork, but in the long run, it's worked out now. I'm back where I want to be. So.
And then you went to St. Patrick's Athletic, where you played under two managers, if I'm not mistaken. Stevie O'Donnell was one of them. Do you think the experience of playing under different managers, you pick up something different from each coach that helps you develop as a player and as a person?
Definitely, yeah. Like you learn different styles, what way different managers deal with players, and obviously day-to-day training with them. Every manager is normally different. So like you said, I went to Limerick after Cove. That was 1 year, and I played every game there, and that was another learning curve for me. You know, moving away from home for the first time, even though it was like an hour and a half up the road, but it was still different. You know, and then like I said, I went up to Pats, and Harry Kenny was the manager, and then Stephen O'Donnell towards the end. But look, I was playing with good players there as well, and I got to play in Europe that year too. Like so. We had my senior European debut with Pats, so that was another experience that I'll never forget. Like, and I'll take with me. Like, so it was a great learning curve for me and brilliant experience to play at that level in Europe. Like, and playing for our Pats. Like, and look, like sometimes you have to go to your comfort zone, you know, to realize like how you are as a person, like, and not just on the football pitch. So no, it was a good experience to move up there and play.
Last couple of questions. First of all, there's been a lot of discussions between the fact that Cove, Waterford and Cork are all in the first division. There's a very much, and Limerick as well, if you count the Treaty United side, there's a real lack of Munster representation in that Premier Division at the moment. Do you think that is something that the Premier Division is starved at the moment? Just that southern influence and those big, because when you count all four of them, they're all big clubs.
Yeah, they're all big clubs. I think the Premier Division is mostly Dublin teams now, like, you know. So and obviously down here there's a lot of Munster teams. So look, hopefully we'll be back in the Premier Division next year, like, so we'll bring Munster with us, like, you know. So but yeah, look, it's good competition to have in the first division too. You know, it's a very competitive league this year, like you said, with the clubs you named. They're big clubs, like, and they're doing well this year, like, and like you said, it's good to have both divisions being competitive, not just the Premier Division being the main one. Like, obviously we want to play in the Premier Division, like, but having the first division tight and, you know, good standard of football, you know, it's only good for this country and football in this country, like, so. But like I said, want to hopefully us as a Munster team to get back to the Premier Division next year so we can add that.
I forgot about Wexford, another southern team. I should have mentioned them as well. But listen, you've had some very, very good results. A 4-1 win over Longford Town, followed up with a 3-0 win over Treaty United, and then you had a tough battle against Cork City. I think there's a video going viral of the goal that was scored behind the goals, and you just hear that net and the big roar from the Cork fans. But it's Wexford now coming up this week. They're a very, very tough side. A surprise package, a lot of people would have reckoned. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it'll be a tough game. Like every game in this league is tough. Like, so, we just take it one game at a time. Like you said, Wexford is the next game coming up, and we played them up there a couple of weeks back, and I think we only won 1-0. Like, it was a very tough game up there. Like, so, like I said, every game is a tough game. Like, so we'll just take this game as it comes, and hopefully we'll get another win. Like, and keep going towards where we want to get to. Like, so, look, the season's been good so far. Like, but like I said earlier, it's just a start. Like, and like you said, the Longford game we won 4-1. Like, but you know, it was a tight game in the first half. We probably didn't play our best in the first half, and then the second half we turned up. But you know, we need to be right at from the start next week against Wexford if we want to get the 3 points.
And finally, obviously, you're top of the pile of the supposed big three. Waterford have had to change their manager. Galway are still hot on your heels, but at this stage of the season, it's exactly where you need and want to be.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you want to be at the top. Hopefully, we'll be at the top for the whole season. Like, that's the aim. Like, but look, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, and every week, performing. We just have to keep being consistent on the pitch. Like, and like I said, the start momentum is a huge thing. Like, so hopefully we can bring that with us for the rest of the season. Like, and look, get the club back to where it should be.
Okay, listen, Cian, thank you very much for speaking to us. And if you're talking to Mick Ring over the next couple of days, send him my very best.
I will. Cheers. Thanks, lads.
Okay. Apologies, I muted myself there and then unmuted myself. Apologies for that. You're very welcome back. And thanks to Cian Coleman. He took his time out to speak to us today. And thanks to everybody at Cork City for organising that. We're going to go straight back into it, Diarmuid, and let's have a look at the fixtures. Starting with the Premier Division, and we've got a stacked pile on Friday evening with some very, very big fixtures. First of all, in Oriel Park, Dundalk are playing Bohemians. Then Shamrock Rovers at home to Derry City. Match of the evening, there's no two ways about it. Shelburne will be playing Drogheda United, while Finn Harps will be playing UCD, and Sligo Rovers will be playing Patches Athletic. Now, I could say what's game of the night. We all know that's going to be Diarmuid. But if you were to take a game, if we were to scrap that Derry City Shamrock Rovers match, which game entices you when it comes to the rest of the Premier Division? $1 million question.
I suppose there's two games that would definitely entice me, because I suppose they have different implications, I suppose, the Dundalk game, as you mentioned, is going to be a big one for, two teams that want to push further up the table in terms of, Dundalk and Bohs. But for me, and because of implications at Finn Park, the Drogheda and Shells game could be interesting, because if Shells build on their performance last weekend and get to 3 points, and Finn Harps managed to get a win over UCD in Finn Park, we could end up seeing Drogheda United drop to 9th and Finn Harps managed to get out of the relegation zone. It will be interesting to see if that does happen, but obviously match of the night is going to be Rovers and Derry, but if you are looking for a game and you're a neutral, the Dundalk and Bohs game could definitely be an interesting one. Two attacking teams who definitely have nothing to lose in terms of where they are in the league at the moment.
Our producer Brett in the early's just come in with a very interesting stat. It's first against second, third against fifth, fourth against sixth, seventh against eighth, and ninth versus 10th. All tight games. It's if you were to market this is your Super Friday when it comes to the League of Ireland, or when it comes to the Premier Division, because it's around now just before Europe happens. Like, they're starting that discussion about Europe, that things are going to start really taking shape, and this is where the big calls will be made.
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit of a weird thing to see, like, the way that the games are worked, that it's very, I suppose it doesn't help as well when all the games are going to be played on Friday the 13th, which is even more spooky, and whatever the case may be about it, is a bit of a freaky Friday or whatever you want to call it this weekend. But
we're with alliteration altogether today.
But the way that the fixtures are, it's going to be an interesting night. Definitely a big shout out for the Around the Ground show that will be coming later on that evening as well for all of the results that are going to come through. But as you said, with all the talks about Europe and whatever, this is where if Finn Harps want to try and get out of the relegation zone, if they can get to 3 points and hope the Shells get 3 points as well, it's great for them. Dundalk and Bohs will be looking for points to see them up the table, and whoever wins in Tala then is going to get a bit of a breathing room over the other one going into a latter stage, especially if say take Shamrock Rovers for example, if they have another long run in Europe like they did last year, they might be able to get through to the end of the season if hopefully, fingers crossed for them that the squad stays fit. But it's hard. It's definitely going to be an interesting night, and obviously RT2 are going to be showing the Derry and Shamrock Rovers game as well. So if you have two screens handy, you can have that game on the TV, and you can throw a game on LOI TV as well, for just to whet the appetite a bit more.
Absolutely. When it comes to the First Division, these games, once again, there's it's very hard to call. Athlone Town and Longford in the El Clasico, as they call it, the Midlands Clasico. Treaty versus Bray Wanderers. We'll be talking about Bray in just a couple of minutes. Waterford are playing Cove, and Wexford are playing Galway United. When you look at it, Cork City, I think this is their bye week. I might be wrong when it comes to this, but this is a chance for the likes of Galway, who have that game in hand, to put pressure on them with them not playing. But Wexford are still going to be looking to trying to climb up those playoff spots. So that's a very interesting contest, as well as derbies, as by all accounts are unpredictable, particularly the way you said last week that Athlone are looking to start to hit a wee bit of form.
Yeah, I suppose with the way that Athlone played above in Lissie Wollen last weekend, they definitely want to take that form against Longford. And I suppose when you mentioned that there is the derby implications there as well, getting a point against Cork was a good result for them. But if they can snatch something against your rivals as well, that's even sweeter than it. And I suppose they definitely want a bit of form and try and get some confidence going in the squad. They haven't had a really good season so far. They definitely want that momentum and confidence builder for the rest of the season. And looking away from that, you mentioned the Galway Wexford game. I suppose implications there. Wexford are a point behind Treaty for a playoff spot. Obviously, 3 points for John Caulfield's team on Friday will be huge, because they will be breathing down the necks of Cork. They will be level on points. I think the goal difference swing is very much in Cork's favour. So unless unless we see an absolute sensational performance by Galway, I don't think they will top the league table with a win on Friday. But elsewhere, Treaty and Bray, 3 points are needed for Treaty. They need to get back to winning ways. They want to do that. But look, it's going to be definitely an interesting night across the two divisions. But Galway, I think Galway should try and get the 3 points this Friday. If they can get the 3 points, I mean, it's entertaining. It's entertaining for us neutrals, but if you're a Galway or a Cork fan, it could be a stressful 90 minutes on Friday night.
Well, we'll see if it's a fantastic Friday or a freaky Friday. We'll just have to wait and see. Now to go to one of our talking points in which we opened up the show with, Stephen Bradley became the firm target for a position over in England. Lincoln City came a calling. They wanted to bring him. They wanted to bring Stephen McPhail and Gary Cronin with them. We spoke to Alan Cawley about it last week. He said, no disrespect to the league, Lincoln were a bigger club. All manner of assumptions was that he was going to take it, and then all of a sudden a statement comes out just before Friday evening to say that he's staying at the club. They were his top target. He was their top target. He was who they wanted as manager. Do you think he's going to get an opportunity like this again in England? And bearing in mind, is he owing to this? Is it going to be a case that it might deter other clubs from looking to approach him now? It must have been a huge decision to make.
I definitely think it wasn't an easy decision for him to make. I think there was a lot of factors that he had to sit down and think, whether it was family commitments or whatever, that he didn't want to pack the bags and move over to Lincoln. Obviously, I'd agree with what Aaron said, that no disrespect to Shamrock Rovers, no disrespect to the League of Ireland, but Lincoln and the opportunity to work and manage in England, or even for players moving over, it is a lot more lucrative with the positions that you can get over, and with everything, with the way the league structure is there. And you've seen the amount of talent that has left the Electricity League over the last number of years, who've moved over to England, have done fairly successful for themselves over there. A couple of players have been across the pond, I suppose, and Chidozie Obene for one is going to be in the Championship next year, and as Georgie Kelly, of course, getting the goal that sealed Rotherham's promotion to the Championship. And Stephen Bradley coming in then, and you could get it's like, here's Lincoln. It depends on the budget that Lincoln have, the pick of the players, and he could bring over players from Ireland as well. He knows the league. He could help produce the next generation of footballing talent from the country. But I think that a club could come knocking again, but I think that he wants to win the league title this year and definitely have another crack at Europe based on what way it ended last year. I think he does have unfinished business, and with the way the squad is working at the moment, I think he does want to have another stab at it. I don't think he will get many European opportunities with a team like Lincoln, but I think he will get that with Shamrock Rovers. But I personally think it's good for Shamrock Rovers, and it's good for the league that we still have Stephen Bradley as a manager anyway.
But in relation to Europe, I think a lot of people were kind of maybe saying that was a huge factor. You're going to Lincoln, it's such a massive climb, to play in European football again. Funny enough, a documentary came out today with Ciaran Callan, Dane Massey and Vinnie Parton speaking about the 2016 European run. Shamrock Rovers, would you think, are even better equipped now if the draw fell nicely for them, that they could really have a stab at a European group stage, be it in the Conference, Europa League, or we can all dream Champions League? Because taking all our hats off, that's what we want. We want Irish representation at the highest table in Europe.
Yeah, I suppose with the way that the leagues have been done at the moment, I suppose they will obviously try for the Champions League, but if it doesn't work out for them, the likes of the Conference League is great, because look, European football for an Irish club is going to be massive. We've seen Dundalk when they took on a team like Arsenal. That was fantastic. Just a shame that the one time it happened that a big superpower of European football was taking on a minnow from Ireland. It was behind closed doors due to COVID, which was a massive attendance for the Aviva Stadium. Dundalk fans would have had a great experience to watch a team like Arsenal coming in, and an experience like that for for Stephen Bradley is definitely one of the reasons why. Now, I'm sure there's other reasons why, but the lure of European football, that you could play those type of teams, and I suppose he does have the love for Shamrock Rovers. He definitely doesn't want to leave there, but you could say with Lincoln, you can go up into the Premier League. You could do, it has happened before where we've seen teams have started in League One, League Two, and gone straight up into the Premiership. And I suppose we have to try and ask Stephen himself, what was your deciding factor in it? But he'll want to do a great European run this year. He'll try and build on his squad. He's built a great team. He's Shamrock Rovers were struggling there for a bit, and now they've really become the top dog in terms of football in this country. Now they are just a point ahead of Derry in the league table, but they've definitely been the yardstick over the last couple of years anyway.
We're just going to move on. There was a video that was circulated on social media. Then turned out, there was. It turned out that there was kind of an extended version where there was an altercation between the management of Bray Wanderers and supporters of Bray Wanderers. Bray Wanderers fans were making their voice very well known. There seemed like an aggressive altercation between both parties. Seemed to be at fault. Well, not more necessarily at fault, but seemed to be at each other. And it led to a statement read by Bray Wanderers where I'm just going to read a part of it where it says, the club wishes to communicate that it has identified the principal perpetrators and in conjunction with the Gardaí will implement steps to eliminate this behaviour. We are committed to delivering a safe and welcoming environment in which every Bray Wanderers supporter can enjoy the game and support the team. The club is fully supportive of Pat Devlin, his management team and players, and acknowledges the great progress that has been made in recent months across all areas of the club, including academy, community outreach, integration of girls and women's football, and significant improvements to the playing surface at the Carlisle grounds. We acknowledge the results during the 2022 season have been frustrating, but we urge supporters to continue to get behind this team as we look towards a push towards the playoff spots for the second half of the season. He just went further on to say that we are appointing a fan liaison officer and plan to launch a membership program through which match tickets will be acquired. And then our door is always open for dialogue with fans who wish to make their point. However, this must be conducted in an adult fashion with mutual respect, openness, and above all, the interests of the club at heart. Seems that it's boiled over at Bray. The merger with Cabinteely, while it's happened, it seems that there's been a bit of a loss of identity a little bit with it, and with that, results have been poor. It doesn't look good for the club as a whole.
No, I suppose, look, everything that went on with the video, I suppose you could say that, both parties in the video shouldn't have acted in the way they did. I suppose supporters will be frustrated by the fact as well that they can't reply on tweets that Bray do put up. There seems to be that little bit of like a lack of communication between the fans and the club, and we've seen in this country as well when fans don't get the communication with a club, it's not a great look for in that regards, where you can see why it happened, but it shouldn't have happened at the same time. There should have just been, if there's, blood boiling over between supporters and management of the club, that, someone from a representative of a supporters association with Bray sits down with someone from Bray Wanderers Club themselves. They just have a discussion and try and figure out, a solution to it, rather than what we've seen with the video coming across from social media. But if you look at teams across in Europe and that have had outlash, or I suppose disagreements with their ownership, and we've had protests outside of grounds, we've had sit down protests on stadiums, we've had numerous different things going on. I suppose it is the fans at the end of the day that you rely on as a club, so hopefully Bray and their supporters can mend the patch and try and figure out what's the best course to do it, because I suppose football in that side of the country needs a club there, and people do want Bray Wanderers to survive and want to see them prosper and remain a club and have that loyal fan base and everything like that. But look, we'll see how it comes out in the next couple of weeks. See if supporters are still going to get behind the club. They still have fans that are loyal going to the Carlisle grounds. They're still showing their support. It'll be interesting to see what does come out of this in the next while anyway.
Do you think an olive branch needs to be maybe handed out from one side to the other? Maybe just Pat Devlin, say, I apologise for my conduct, let's sit down, let's have a discussion, or the supporters need to say, we are sorry for what, our part in it, maybe we went too far, maybe we need to come and speak to you. I think that's probably what's needed now.
Yeah, look, I suppose definitely the olive branch needs to be extended to both parties that were involved in it. I suppose the supporters do get frustrated. It's not the first time, a club has had, upset supporters for a wide variety of different reasons. We've seen it with other teams in this country as well. But I don't think, Pat Devlin has many years of experience in the league. I don't think he should have reacted in the way that he did. But definitely supporters shouldn't react in the same way. Definitely, I think there should just be a sit down and just see what the future of Bray has in store for, what the management team of Bray want to do and the supporters, what they want to see happen as well. But, hopefully both parties can sit down, find a solution to it, and, everything can be, under smooth control at Bray once more anyway.
I'm just looking at the first division table. I might have missed the memos. I'm not too sure. Athlone are currently in caretaker manager situ. Waterford are in caretaker manager situ. Am I right in saying that? So those two clubs still are in a position that they don't have a full-time manager per se, but if you look at the table now, and thanks to Breffney, our producer, for throwing it up, Cork City top of the pile on 35 points. Just behind them with a game in hand is Galway United. Waterford are then behind them. Look at that gap. It's already starting to look very big. And then you've got Longford, Treaty and Wexford, and then it's Bray, Cove and Athlone Town. I mean, we spoke about the top three. It's now starting to become a bit of a top 5, top 6 there, and all of them could make the playoffs.
Yeah, I suppose the league table is very diverse at the moment. Obviously, you mentioned Waterford is still in caretaker management since Ian Morris has departed the club, and it's the former assistant manager to him that's currently seems to be the caretaker owner at the moment, and they've been doing pretty well since he's come in. They're in third place now. They're looking comfortable to remain a team that are in the playoff places. You look at Treaty United in 5th. They're going to want to make, of course, back-to-back playoff places, or playoff semi-final, should I say, to try and get back to get into the Premier Division for the first time in the club's history, of course, since they were founded from their days as Limerick, as we all know. And Wexford are there in 6th. Like I said, Wexford, if they manage to claim a big scalp against Galway the weekend and Treaty don't get a result against Bray, they can go into the playoff places. Longford look comfortable as well, but it seems to just be the 2-horse race at the top. Whoever comes second there will be the team that will probably look the most comfortable going into the playoffs. But it's very, very tough to call. If Galway, if results stay as it is now, Galway go into it, Waterford could beat Galway. It's very hard to call, to be honest with you, Ciaran, at the way things are going at the moment.
Going to look at the Premier Division table now next, and Shamrock Rovers leading the pile on 33 points. Then it's Derry City on 32. Then behind that, it's St. Pat's Athletic on 24 points. Dundalk are on 22. Sligo on 20, Bows on 19, Shells on 15 points. 8th position is Drogheda United on 13 points. Then it's Finn Harps on 10 points and UCD on 5 points. As things stand, when you look at it, European places are very much up for grabs, but it looks as if, it's going to be a battle between Shamrock Rovers and Derry City for the rest of the season. But Pats, Dundalk and Sligo and Bows are all going to be fighting for those coveted European positions, particularly if the Cup comes into play, that if Shamrock Rovers were to win the Cup, then, it leaves another place open. It's so exciting. It really, really is. I think it's going to be a fight for, while we talk about the fight for relegation and promotion, but the fight for Europe this year looks to be a really interesting prospect.
Yeah, it's going to be massive in terms of a dogfight. Of course, we've Dundalk and Bows in action this weekend. And they're going to want to try and get up the table. Pats are going to want to keep on to third place as well. Sligo are going to want to get out of fifth place with their recent rut of form. They want to try and get back up in it. And of course, you mentioned relegation as well. If Drogheda slip up this weekend and Harps get 3 points, they'll go down into ninth place. Shelburne are in seventh. They're going to want to try and not get relegated. Like if you just take the table in terms of a chunk, first and second look to be the main title contenders. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth will be battling for European places, and then from seventh down looks like the relegation battle. But I do think UCD will stay in 10th. I think that I don't think they've got what they want this year to try and stay up. But you never know. UCD could get 3 points against Finn Harps this weekend. It's very, very tough. They managed to hold Dundalk to a point, of course, last Friday night. So I definitely think that if they on their night they could go up to Finn Park and take 3 points. Now it's not an easy task for most teams to go up to Finn Park as well and take 3 points. We are getting into the summer, so we mightn't have the cold, wet, windy nights coming to an end above in Finn Park. But Ollie Horgan is no stranger. He's a veteran in the league. He knows how to keep a team, steady the team, and try and keep them up. Did it last year as well. So he'll be looking to try and get out of that relegation place this weekend. But for a team like Drogheda, they will be expecting a performance. But Damien Duff, Shelburne are in their way this weekend. As we've said, with the way the games are lining up in that division, it's going to be a very intriguing Friday night across both divisions, to be honest.
That's it for us this week, Diarmuid. I want to thank you very much for coming in and having a chat with us this evening. You've been a great co-host, and as always, it's always great and insightful. Around the grounds on Friday evening for Fantastic or Freaky Friday, whatever we want to call it. But all in all, we'll see you Friday evening to host your show.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose we'll be going live around the usual time, 9:45 or just a little bit after it. I suppose you'll definitely be down in Oriel Park anyway, so I'll be crossing live to you for a report at the final whistle in that game. And of course,
we just have to die down because of last you want to hear rocking all over the world.
Yeah, I think that's the case with most. When we cross live to most people, you have a blaring speaker in your ear the entire time. It's I suppose the games just have to come to an end. You do have that atmosphere, and you have people still inside in the ground chanting and everything like that. But of course, we will have the live reports from the different games as well. Of course, we will have someone watching the game in Tala as well in terms of the league battle there, and of course the first division games as well. But it's definitely going to be an intriguing night. So definitely, if you don't follow Finalwhistle.ie on social media, make sure to follow us and turn on notifications to be notified when the Around the Grounds does go live. Anyway, that's my little plug for the podcast anyway this week.
Listen, thank you very much, Diarmuid, and we'll see you in the next couple of weeks.
Perfect, Ciaran. Thanks for having me on this week.
And that's our lot for this week. I want to thank you very much for listening and tuning in. My thanks to Breffney Early, our producer here back in Final Whistle HQ. Thanks to Cian Coleman and all of Cork City for their assistance. And of course, Diarmuid Kearney. You'll catch him on Around the Grounds on a Friday evening. I will see you next week. So whatever League of Ireland ground you're going to this weekend, make sure that you enjoy it. Take care, and I'll see you soon.